My name is JAD-man, and I like to make wearable nerdy things. I think it's about time I tell you all how I made my well-known Genji helmet. First off, we start off with a template that I decided to make for the helmet to make things easier for you guys. I will be using it in my demonstration on how I made this helmet. If you would like to follow along with this exact template, there's a link below that allows you to buy and use it. First off, I cut out the template. Then I decide to take some tape and tape the bigger piece together. I take out a foam sheet, lay it on my desk, and take a heavy thing so that way it lays on there nice. I decide to use my Overwatch art book. Now I decide to draw out each individual piece. As I'm drawing these patterns out, I realized using a marker would probably be better, so I switched to a Sharpie marker so I can see the lines a bit better. As I'm drawing on these patterns, I make sure to write out each individual arrow so that way I know which direction to cut when I go to cut these pieces out. After I finish drawing out the pattern, I decide to take my paperweight off the foam so that way I can cut these out a lot easier. I decide to use an X-Acto knife and a tool I have that lets me cut at a 45-degree angle a lot easier. Now that I finally have the foam cut out, I can finally start piecing this together. And what better way to do that than with contact cement? This stuff can hold foam together very well and keep it very flexible. In order to get the glue into the triangle crevice, I try something like this. As I'm putting the pieces together, I'm making sure to slowly align the edges so that way I have a flat surface. After doing that, I just copy it to the other side. I heat up these pieces so that way when I put them together, it makes it a bit more round and it's a lot easier to keep a smoother line. I get ready to glue these two halves together and I set it to the side to dry. I start to glue the forehead pieces together as the template suggests I should. The back of the helmet's finally dry. I can go in and heat it up and put it together. Check it out, it looks pretty snazzy, right? Now that the back piece is finished, I can continue on to the forehead and put those pieces together. Now I just duplicate it to the other side. Finally, I get to put the two pieces together, and here's the finished product. To start on the jawline pieces, I set them out accordingly to how they're supposed to go together, and begin to glue. As always, after waiting for a few minutes, I can now put these pieces together. Again, I duplicate it to the other side and get it prepared to be glued together. I put glue on both edges of the pieces and wait about 5 minutes so that way I can piece them together. Luckily, these pieces are a lot easier to put together because of how sharp the angles are. Here are the two pieces next to each other. Now that we have both pieces, we can try and put them together. When I did this, I just kind of eyeballed it to see where it looked nice, and I started gluing it together. However, the template does give you a guide for this. Now that I have both sides finished, I can put the back side and the front side together. I decided to actually use the template's guides in order to do this. Yay, now I have the base part of the helmet completely finished and can now go into the more detailed parts of the helmet. These pieces are for the fabric holder that goes onto the back of the helmet. As I cut out the pieces, I apply glue where glue needs to go. Once the pieces are put together, I put it on the back of the helmet and draw a circle around where it goes and cut the circle out. And I try and fit it into the helmet and glue it in place. Now I make the under detail for the accent for the eyes. Once it's cut out, I put glue on it so that way I can glue and secure it to the underside of the helmet. Circle parts, I cut out a big circle and then cut out a smaller circle inside the bigger circle. Now I cut out the fins that go underneath the lower cheekbones. And then glue them into place. Next, I cut out the ear fins and then glue them right on top of where the template tells me to. Here's what it looks like with all the smaller details on it. It's time to bring out the Dremel. The Dremel allows me to put in accent marks where it needs to go. Also, it allows me to sand down lines if I feel like it needs to. These are the kind of bits I prefer using on foam. Don't forget a gas mask. It's very important. Dust particles can be very dangerous for you. Now I can finally begin adding these accent marks. Here's what it looks like after I'm done. I take some acetone on a Q-tip and start rubbing it along the lines of the back part of the helmet so that way it can get rid of clunks and chunks of glue that are sticking outside of the lines. To get nice smooth curves in the front of the helmet, I take some quick seal and use my finger to smooth it out. I also do the same thing for the fabric holder. Do the same to the back, but it's more to fill any gaps that remain. Now I go outside and apply 3 to 4 layers of Plasti-Dip. This finish will allow me to have a nice metallic look at the end of this. I use an airbrush to paint, but you can also use any type of metallic spray paint you find at Menards, Walmart, or whatever type of local store you have. Look at that amazing metallic finish. It has such a nice shine to it. I felt like the under eye accent wasn't black enough, so I grabbed some acrylic paint and just brushed on some black paint. For the fabric piece, I decided to cut out a long rectangle and cut off a triangle at the end of it so that way it has a point. Now I just fold it a few times and insert it right into the fabric holder into the helmet. Last but not least, the lens. What I decided to use was a face shield, and I just cut out a shape for the visor and glued it right into place. Now that we're done, it's time for an edit. Hey guys, thank you for making it to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. Hopefully this helped with whatever cosplay you're making. Make sure to check out any other type of videos. Love you guys. God bless. See you guys next time.